Imagine you're at the airport waving to your loved ones and you're hoping them to land safely, but hours later you receive a news saying that the flight is gone, disappeared, and nobody knows where it goes. So this is the heartbreaking story and reality of the families of the 239 passengers. So on 8 March 2014, the flight was scheduled to travel from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing, and it should land in Beijing safely. But hours later, they received a report saying that the flight just disappeared from the radar, and nobody knows. No evidence, no proof, and everyone was questioning, where did the flight go? How could a big flight just disappeared without evidence, without explanation, and everyone was confused. I first learned about MH370 in 2014 from the news in the television, and also
Masuk satu dia tak boleh. Tadi pun kenapa ni? It's okay. It's okay. Don't be panic. Don't be panic. Okay. Don't panic.
let me continue. So I first learned about the story behind the disappearance of MH370 in 2014 through the news on the television and also through the websites. And I continued following the news of the MH370 from the popular websites. And today I'll be discussing about the 3 speculations behind the disappearance of MH370. So the first speculation is about the MH370 that just drawn into Bermuda Triangle. The second speculation is MH370 was shot down near to Diego Garcia, and the last speculation is the heartbreaking speculation of the pilot suicide. So let's talk about the first speculation, which is MH370 drawn into Bermuda Triangle. So have you guys ever heard about Bermuda Triangle before? Yeah, so it's one of the mysterious areas in the world, right? So, the first one is MH370 drawn into Bermuda Triangle. So Bermuda Triangle covers about 500,000 square miles and is roughly bordered by Miami, Florida, and Puerto Rico. And it is also called as the Devil's Triangle because some people claim, and also there were reports saying that over 1,000 ships and aircraft have reportedly gone missing there. So there are people who actually claim that they have seen ships, and also people who were drawn into Bermuda Triangle and they just disappeared in a blink of an eye. So in 1945, there was actually a case about a missing flight, and it was called as Flight 19. So these are the passengers of Flight 19. And they were also vanished, they also disappeared, and people say that he might have drawn into Bermuda Triangle. So when the case of the flight MH370 happened and they disappeared, people speculated that it might have drawn into the same area, which is Bermuda Triangle. However, this claim remained untrue because there was no evidence and there was no proof, so we can't say that they actually drawn into Bermuda Triangle. Now, let's move to the second speculation, which is MH370 was shot down near to Diego Garcia. So the picture that I put here is actually Diego Garcia. Maybe we don't really see this picture because we're not really used to the name of Diego Garcia. But let me explain first. So Diego Garcia is actually a remote atoll or a U.S. military base, which is administered by the British or the U.S. military. So there were some people who speculated that the passengers of MH370 might be detained and they were put in Diego Garcia. So a few years ago, there were actually pictures who gone viral in Facebook and also other social media saying that the passengers might be in Diego Garcia because they just compared these features and they say they are actually certain similarities. But I want to know from you guys, do they look similar?
Yes. At one glance, right? Yes.
Yeah, I think there are some features that look similar, but to me personally, there are also some features that don't really look similar. But yeah, because of these features that just gone viral a few years ago on Facebook, people say maybe they got detained there, maybe they had to work there, maybe they were given fake identity, maybe a new name, maybe and maybe. So they were all just speculation. And because of these speculations, the U.S. administration strongly denied this claim because there was no radar or satellite evidence. That means the flight never actually went near to Diego Garcia. So this claim was denied. So it still remained untrue. And there was also no credible evidence had ever been presented to support that MH370 landed or crashed at Diego Garcia. So now, let's talk about the last speculation behind the disappearance of MH370, which is the heartbreaking speculation of the pilot suicide. So this is Zahari Ahmad, the pilot of the MH370. Why is it a heartbreaking speculation? The first one is is when the former Australian Prime Minister Tony Abbott stated that it was understood at high levels that pilot suicide was the most likely cause. And there were also reports and people speculated that maybe Zahari Ahmad had problems, maybe he was lonely, he was maybe diagnosed with depression, maybe he had mental illness issue. That's why he had to make the flight as a final act. Like people speculated that he actually brought the flight to crash just because he wanted to suicide. But to me personally, that is just illogical. That is untrue. And why is it a heartbreaking speculation? Because the family just lost their loved one. And people have been speculated that your husband is depression, your husband is the cause of this pilot crash. So it's very heartbreaking that they had to go through these hardships and setbacks from the words of the other people. And because of the speculations that were made by the people, former Malaysian Prime Minister Dato' Najib Abdul Razak urged the public not to jump into conclusions without retrieving the black boxes. Because the black boxes is where all of the evidence gathered, right? Yeah. Now we've come to the conclusion of my speech. In conclusion, the MH370 tragedy is not just a mysterious case. It's a deeply human tragedy that has been haunting the families of 239 passengers. So every year, especially on 8 March, they've been grieving for their loved ones because they don't know what happened. There is no proof, there is no evidence, but people keep on making speculations on social media. They've been giving new pictures, recordings, and making videos. Well, they never know if those things that they've shared on social media are actually true. So from the theory and the speculation that MH370 was drawn into Bermuda Triangle to the speculation that MH370 was shot down in Diego Garcia, and lastly to the heartbreaking speculation of the pilot suicide, it is a proof and evidence that the world is not just finding a wreckage, but they're also finding an answer. And I believe that maybe we never know what happened, we may never know the truth, but we still have to work to find the truth. It's not just to feel our curiosity, but also to honor the lives of the 259 seniors. So yeah, this is the quote. The world is not just finding every cake, but also an answer. So thank you.
Any question? No question. You have a question? I have a question. Okay. What trigger you to bring back this haunted story?
Okay. Like when I was young, I love actually reading newspapers, and I love making journals. It's like we have to cut out pictures, and then we have to like view it in the books. Yeah, I'm that kind of girl years ago. So like when I found that news, that time I was 10 years old, I asked my mom, let's buy a lot of newspapers. I don't know why I was like really wanted to get to know more about this flight, because that time everyone was thinking like, oh, it's not logic that this flight just disappeared, right? So I still had the book until now. I still kept it. Even after 11 years, more than 10 years, I still kept it in my room. And every time I went back to my hometown and when I was like cleaning up my room, I would find the book and I just open it. Oh, these are the features and things that I found on the newspapers and I drew. And also, I find it like it's very heartbreaking, you know, because some people they gave up about MH370. They feel like we cannot do anything, right? So let's stop talking about MH370. But I found out that there are also several cases in other countries that the truth just revealed after 45 years, after 50 years. That means it's not impossible to actually find the truth about MH370. So it's only been 11 years, right? Not 20 years, not 50 years. So let's just remember about this issue. And I believe there are things that we don't know. Maybe, I mean, this is what I speculate. Yeah, we are just a small country. There are also cases happen to, you know, the other flights, MH17 also that was crashed in Russia. Yeah. So we're just a small country. We cannot just keep quiet and let it go. We have to fight for this peace.
Thank you. Well, so the question, I don't know. I mean, I'm afraid that you will get full marks for this. Yeah, I'm afraid. Okay, thank you. Next. Okay, next presenter. Yeah, I have your. Yes, sure, you're okay.